Okay, let's dive in. So you sent this article over, and it's pretty wild. Google is building an AI to talk to dolphins.
Yeah, dolphins.
Like, actually talk to them. It's called Dolphin Gemma, and apparently, uh, it's already making sounds that sound like dolphins.
It is, yeah. It's generated some acoustic sequences that mimic their clicks and whistles. Pretty
Yeah.
man-blowing, right?
Totally mind-blowing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's what we're digging into today. What does this actually mean? Why is this happening now?
Well, I think the why now is partly the tech, but also the collaboration. It's Google, sure, but they're working with Georgia Tech and, crucially, the Wild Dolphin Project.
Right, I saw that. And the Wild Dolphin Project, they've been doing this for ages, haven't they?
40 years, 4 decades of data. They've been out there, observing and recording wild Atlantic spotted dolphins. That's a huge amount of information to work with.
40 years.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, just imagine the sheer volume of recordings, all those clicks and whistles.
And burst pulses. Don't forget those are like
Mhm.
these rapid fire sounds. The article mentions they've recorded these during all sorts of behaviors, play, courtship, even arguments, it seems.
So they have sounds linked to specific activities.
Hmm.
And that's where the AI comes in, training on all this data.
Exactly. And this is, I think, the really interesting part. It's not like they're trying to build a dolphin to English dictionary. That's kind of the old way of thinking about it.
Okay. So what is Dolphin Gemma doing then?
It's learning the patterns, like the structure within the dolphin sounds themselves. Think of it less like translation and more like learning the grammar, maybe, or the rules of how they put sounds together.
Huh. So it's figuring out how they communicate, not necessarily what each specific sound means in human terms.
Precisely. The AI isn't trying to map squeak, click, whistle to hello. It's identifying recurring sequences, how sounds change in different situations, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. There was that quote from Dr. Starner at Google Georgia Tech.
Hmm.
He said the AI just spontaneously generated these burst pulses.
Yeah. Just from analyzing the data. He apparently tried for years to make them with normal software and couldn't quite get it right. The AI just figured it out by listening.
That's actually incredible. So the AI cracked a code just by, well, processing the sound data.
Kind of, yeah. And the main goal now isn't really conversation. Not yet, anyway. It's about association. Can the AI learn to connect certain sound patterns with what's actually happening?
So like this pattern means we're playing, and that pattern means there's food nearby, or something like that.
Exactly. Linking the acoustic sequences to the context. That's the immediate aim.
And how are they planning to test that? You can't just ask the dolphins if the AI got it right.
No, not quite. They're developing this wearable device for divers. It's called Chat.
Chat. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically an underwater audio system. It can play back these AI-generated sounds. So the idea is a researcher could maybe point to something, like a piece of seaweed, play a specific novel sound generated by the AI.
And see what the dolphins do, if they react,
Yeah.
or maybe even copy the sound.
Exactly. See if there's any consistent response. Can the dolphins learn to associate this new sound with the seaweed? It's about exploring that potential for shared signals.
Okay, that's a clever way to test it. It sort of gets around the direct translation problem.
Right. And Dr. Herzing, who founded the Wild Dolphin Project, she's quoted saying this could massively speed things up. What used to take maybe decades of humans listening and analyzing, the AI might spot significant patterns in, like, days.
That's a huge jump, but
Yeah.
the article also brings up a really important question, doesn't it? Do dolphins even have language in the way we think of it? With grammar and infinite sentences.
That's the big caveat. And many experts would say probably not. Human language, with its complex syntax and ability to generate endless new meanings, might be unique. Dolphin communication is complex, definitely, but it might be more like a very sophisticated system of signals.
So calling it talking might be stretching it a bit.
It might be. We need to be careful about projecting our human ideas of language onto them. But even if it's not language in our sense.
It's still communication, and potentially very complex communication.
Absolutely. The fact that they can recognize patterns, maybe learn new sounds, respond consistently, that tells us a lot about their cognitive abilities. Memory, learning, attention. It's still incredibly valuable information.
Right. So even if we don't end up having, philosophical debates with dolphins.
Which seems unlikely, let's be honest.
Yeah. But understanding their signals, understanding how they perceive and communicate about their world, that's still a massive step forward, right? It gives us a window into their minds, in a way.
A huge step, and it forces us to think more broadly about what intelligence and communication even are. Maybe human language isn't the only sophisticated game in town.
And this isn't the only project doing this kind of thing with AI, is it? The article mentioned others.
No, it's part of a bigger trend, thankfully. There's the Earth Species Project, looking at crows, I believe.
Crows.
Yeah, using AI to analyze their calls. And also CETI, the Cetacean Translation Initiative, which is focused on sperm whales and their clicks, their codas.
Wow. So it's whales, dolphins, crows. People really trying to use AI to listen to the natural world in a new way.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Like we finally might have the tools to start decoding some of these signals that have been around us all along.
So just to sort of pull this together from the article, we've got Dolphin Gemma, the Google AI, learning to make dolphin-like sounds.
Right, learning patterns from decades of real dolphin recordings.
Not aiming for direct translation, but more about linking sounds to contexts like play or food.
Uh-huh. And they're building the chat device to test if dolphins can maybe learn new sound words introduced by researchers.
But there's that important caution. It might not be language like ours, with grammar and all that.
Yeah, more likely a very advanced signal system. But understanding it still tells us loads about their intelligence, memory, learning, communication skills.
And it connects to this wider field of using AI, like with crows and sperm whales, to try and understand animal communication.
It really feels like a potential turning point. Even if full conversations are off the table, just understanding these patterns could, change how we see ourselves in relation to other intelligent life.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. If we can start to understand dolphins even a little bit better, what else is out there? What other complex communication is happening that we just haven't been able to tune into yet?
Makes you wonder, right? All the things we might be missing.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who wants to read more about Dolphin Gemma and this whole area,
Yeah.
we'll put links to the original article and maybe some related stuff in the description. Definitely worth exploring further.